Welcome back to another episode of Swamp Stories. For this episode, we cover a breaking story that everyone wants to know about. No one knows what's really going on and no one really wants to do the research. So that's where Swamp Stories comes in. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. You can also follow the Instagram page as well. So let's get into it. In Louisiana, there are only two cities that people know about, New Orleans and Baton Rouge, both of which are not really that big, but for Louisiana standards, they're like New York. And by now, we all know that they're in the top 5 worst cities every year. Whether it was Cash Money, No Limit, Lil Wayne, Youngboy, Fredo, Boosie, and many more, Louisiana has had a huge presence in the culture. However, outside of New Orleans and Baton Rouge, there's not much going on. In fact, I'm pretty sure that nobody has ever paid attention to the rest of the state. And honestly, there's good reason for that, because outside of the two cities, there is absolutely nothing going on. And with all that being said, this story takes place in the middle of Nothingville, so let me break it down. The North Shore of Louisiana is located about an hour north of New Orleans, across the world's longest bridge. I'm not even kidding. In order to get to the North Shore, you have to cross a 24-mile bridge. That's how hard it is to get to this area. Well, once you finally touch land in the North Shore, all you see is trailer parks and probably some Reagan Bush 84 flags. But then you continue north about 30 minutes and end up in a small town called Bogalusa, Louisiana. The small town of 11,000 residents is known for, well, nothing. The average resident makes $19,000 a year, with Walmart being the biggest employer, and the average home sells for just $92,000. So it's safe to say that Bogalusa is far from being well off, and the only time that someone ever thinks of Bogalusa is when they're on their way to Mississippi. But just because the area is country does not mean that it can't get active. So in this video, I'm gonna break down all the madness on the North Shore, and of course how it all resulted in the recent news. But before we get into it, let me run the intro. Well, this is where a young man named Javorius Scott was born in 1998. He grew up in a small house on Superior Ave. His area is just like any southern town, with small houses and trailers spread out. But growing up there is nothing like New Orleans or Baton Rouge. In fact, Bogalusa will only see about 1 to 2 incidents a year. So other than those 1 or 2 days, the town is pretty quiet. But that doesn't mean that growing up there is without struggle, because poverty is a huge issue. It's only quiet because it's a small town with no other cities within 20 minutes. In fact, the closest town is Franklinton, which is 27 minutes away. So essentially, Bogalusa is a big family because all they have is each other. Well, through a poor and boring upbringing, all Javorius had was music, and he began taking it seriously in 2016 at just 17 years old, this time under the name JAYDAYOUNGAN. Almost instantly, his songs blew up and reached millions of views. He began being noticed by local rappers such as Baton Rouge's Scotty Kane and most importantly NBA Youngboy. And in 2016 he released multiple songs with Youngboy's brother 33 and Scotty Kane. As time went on, JAYDAYOUNGAN seemed to get more and more popular, especially in 2019 with songs like 2-3 Island, which hit number 17 on US charts. Well, right at the peak of his early career, Jay decided to make an interesting decision. Behind closed doors, he and Youngboy had some disagreements in 2019. Essentially, Youngboy was upset that his baby mom was messing with JAYDAYOUNGAN, so he texted Jay and told him to tell the girl to stop messing with him. I don't know if that made sense, but Youngboy wanted Jay to cut off his baby mom out of respect for their friendship. And honestly, it makes sense. If we're friends and make music together, you should have the decency to not interact with the mother of my child. Well, the alleged story goes that Jay told Youngboy that he would cut her off, and for the time being, he did so. But then the two got into a disagreement over an unreleased song that had leaked. Youngboy blamed Jay for sending out their exclusive song to friends who leaked it. So in response, Jay allegedly started rolling with the good old baby mom. In reality, this should end a friendship, but definitely not serious enough to spark a beef. But when you're dealing with guys from North Baton Rouge, serious results can come from minor situations. A wrong look can be the last look you ever give someone. Trust me, these are not people you want to cross. Well, despite Youngboy being a feared character in Louisiana and Jay not so much, he made a bold decision to escalate everything. On April 9th, 2020, he dropped a song called 38K, clearly dissing Youngboy and everyone he rolls with. He also admits and brags on the fact that he had a situation with Youngboy's baby mom. And of course, this made Youngboy angry, but not I'll drive 2 hours away to potentially find you angry, especially when he's dealing with rivalries in his own city. So for the meantime, everything was online disses and trolling. This included people from both sides, including the menacing BBG Baby Joe. And although this story caught the national attention, the streets of Louisiana were paying attention to a different rivalry. So let me break it down. The North Shore of Louisiana does not have a history of rivalries in any way. In fact, residents of New Orleans and Baton Rouge would laugh at the notion of the North Shore being active. Here and there are personal vendettas, but it's nothing compared to Baton Rouge. But in 2020, things started to change. The entire North Shore is pretty much divided into two sides. Now mind you, this is from official articles in Louisiana, so I'd rather present the official news instead of the rumors. Anyways, so let me introduce you to the sides. First, let's start off in Roseland, Louisiana. This small town of 1,200 people is known for nothing, but they do have a small group of guys that call themselves the Purple City Boys, also known as PCB. And being that they're from a tiny town where nothing has ever happened, it's safe to say that it was all just an image at first. Like, who are they gonna beef with? Farm animals? Well, regardless, they have rappers named PCB Buck and PCB TYKEITH. And honestly, I didn't even want to listen to the songs after seeing the low views, but they're actually not that bad. I feel like there's a lot of undiscovered talent in these small areas. And that takes us to 2019. That's when PCB started going at it with a group called La Familia. They originate from Hammond, which is another small country town, but they have members that are spread out through the entire North Shore. And their main rapper is 700 JEEZY. He's had a couple decent songs, but he's more known for another kind of drum. Well, according to Louisiana prosecutors, La Familia rolls with two groups. The first is Hunger Gang, also known as HG. They are centered in the town of Covington and have a rapper named HG SUAVE, who's actually hard. And finally, La Familia rolls with a group of guys in Bogalusa, specifically in JAYDAYOUNGAN's hood, which they call 2-3 or simply the 2. So essentially it comes down to PCB versus La Familia H3 and 2-3. I hope that's not too confusing. Well, in early 2020, the rappers began dissing each other from both sides, especially TJ and 700 JEEZY. This could possibly be the very first rap rivalry in the North Shore history, and things would get serious on June 21st, 2020. The Roseland community decide to host a Father's Day gathering in rural Amite City, and there of course is all of PCB, but most importantly TYKEITH. Well, everyone is riding horses through the field, which is a Father's Day tradition, but little do they know La Familia is watching them the entire time, specifically 700 JEEZY, whose real name is JAYLONH Mitchell. So 700 JEEZY waits for his best opportunity. At 3 p.m. everyone starts to leave, and that's when TYKEITH starts walking to his car. That's when 700 JEEZY approaches. Bam. Instantly, someone speaks up because JAYLONH Mitchell was now a wanted man. However, he would go on the run for 2 months, and in the meantime, PCB Buck would record a music video dedicated to TYKEITH. And the next day, 700 JEEZY would record a video as well. On August 6, 2020, prosecutors say that 700 JEEZY and JAYDAYOUNGAN recorded a music video together in Hammond. And after this, the two hung out for the entire weekend. And that takes us to August 8th, 2020. PCB decides to throw a large birthday bash in Roseland. At the birthday, friends and family ride horses around the field. But once again, 700 JEEZY is right there waiting. But this time, he runs out of patience and makes a wild decision. Unfortunately, a mother from Baton Rouge did not make it, and right after this, 700 JEEZY drove out to Houston to hide out. And here is where things get interesting. Prosecutors claim that JAYDAYOUNGAN helped JEEZY leave the scene and eventually head to Texas. And in Louisiana, this is a serious crime. Well, in defense, Jay claimed that he knew nothing about what JEEZY had done and was just doing him a favor. Either way, Texas authorities would get JEEZY after a chase down I-10. And after his arrest, more would come, including including 6 La Familia members and of course JAYDAYOUNGAN. He was formally charged with being an accessory to the events on August 8th. Authorities said that he's a part of La Familia and he rivals with PCB. And in Louisiana, they do not play. You will get a long sentence for minor things. Thankfully though, the evidence against Jay wasn't very strong and his defense team was well paid. So eventually his lawyer successfully had his charges reduced. However, he would be in jail for quite some time. And during this time, there were a few incidents back home. This includes the July 21st passing of a rival nicknamed 10, not to be confused with NBA 10. Well, finally on June 17th, 2022, Jay was released from Tangipahoa Parish. Here's how it worked out. Under an agreement, he paid $5,500 in fines and a 1-year supervised release. After a year of no music, fans were excited for some new songs. And instead of going back to Georgia, he had to stay in the parish due to the supervised release. And that takes us to July 27th, 2022. Jay is outside his grandma's house on Superior Ave. Just like any other day, he's outside with his friends and family showing off his blue Corvette. Well, after posting his location on social media, the rivals knew where to get him. 5:45 p.m. Jay is outside with his dad and younger brother, and that's when a car pulls up. Bam! Quickly after, he's driven to Our Lady of Angels, just a mile down the road. Well, little did they know the whole time the rivals were still following them. So when they arrive, bam! Thankfully, this time everyone was okay, but unfortunately, Jay did not make it. So after this, social media erupted, with 90% being positive and 10% being rivals clowning. Online, you can find all kinds of clips and screenshots of both NBA and PCB members clowning Jay on Instagram. But honestly, I'd rather not show that. Either way, people have been speculating whether it's NBA or if it's PCB, and maybe it's neither, but what do you guys think? Interestingly enough, 700 JEEZY's brother Twan is close friends with YoungBoy's brother and NBA 10. As you can see, BOYZ has songs with Twan and they're also seen together in social media posts. So if 700 JEEZY rolls with JAYDAYOUNGAN and his brother rolls with YoungBoy, how does this make any sense? Especially because YoungBoy's side has been clowning Jay since the second he passed. Could there be something fishy going on, like a backdoor activity, or is this just the nature of the streets? Simply put, it's all a big mess. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of Swamp Stories. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Peace!